तू नंगा ही तो आया है, क्या घंटा लेकर जाएगा. Thank you.
I mean, this is just what we needed, right? Yeah, the big round of applause for Mr. Mundra. And we really wish you all the best for that school. Really, really. What fun. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. You know what, guys? We have saved the best for the last. You know? Presenting to you Dr. Falguni Shah, the leading dermatologist and cosmetologist in Mumbai. You all know her because she is the doctor for many of us from Radiant Skin Clinic. Several celebrities go to her on a regular basis. She has strived to bring science to the world of beauty and has taken specialized training in lasers, advanced cosmetic procedures from leading dermatologists and cosmetologists from all around the world. She uses specialized skin treatment technology and is a member of various national and international bodies. She goes to speak as a key opinion leader in various national and international conferences. And she's also an entrepreneur. So we have a theme going on here. She has formulated skincare products under the brand name Radiance by Dr. Falguni. And she's soon to launch her D2C channel to make these products available to a wider audience. For us, for me, she's very special because she's a role model. The first woman speaker at Goat Talks. Now, really, 8th of March, Women's Day is just around the corner. And I really think that our country needs more role models, and she's definitely one. I look up to her. Many of us I know who do that. So I am just welcoming her again with a big round of applause.
People, I like this song. Play it a little bit more. That's it, I'm just joking. Okay, good evening, everyone. And the first proof that I am a woman or a girl is I follow the theme. So I'm going to talk about my life, the fascinating journey, the anecdotes, and the impact, the three sects. And what is it that makes this different when a woman is talking? Women in the house, tell me this. We add a lot of emotion, and we tell you the journey the way it is. Let me start from the beginning. Every journey, every story, and this is only about my story. I have nothing more to say today. Let me start from the beginning. The beginning is your school life. And for everyone out here, that is what has formed you. I can say I come from a very, very modest background. I was in a middle class upbringing. My mother was a scientist with TIFR, that is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, and then she retired as the head of the chemistry department in Mirabai College. My father was a humble medical representative, but my hero and the one who put me on this path. But a very strong education background, and I didn't think I missed anything because somehow studying came very natural to me. I was in a convent school, and I don't think I have got a second rank ever. I always stood first from nursery till class 10th. And it was really, really, really very easy for me. So because like I said, I was a born student. And being from a convent school, my first thing was, my first so-called tryst with defeat or so-called tryst with some bad news happened when I was in class 10th. Because when we were in a convent school, I don't know how many of you here are from convents, when we were in class 10th, there was something called a merit list. Like your school, you have a merit list in the University of Bombay. Now, most of these merit listers were from vernacular medium. Why? Because vernacular medium has only two languages. Their first language is their mother tongue, and the second language is the language which they take, which happens to be English. But when you come from a convent school, we have three languages. Your first language is English, your second language is Hindi, and the third language is compulsorily Marathi because you are from Maharashtra. Now what happens is when you have three languages, your overall score is always going to be less than that of a vernacular medium school. So a thing like a merit list never existed for a convent student. And as I was progressing when I was in class 9th, I thought, why can't I see my picture in the newspaper? Because that's where the merit list was published. But of course, nobody had ever got it. So I went on studying in class 10th, and you will not believe it. Nowadays, parents have a complaint that kids don't study. My parents actually had a complaint that she studies so much. I mean, let's visit a psychologist. I mean, actually, my parents were deciding that, how do we do this? Why doesn't she just give up her textbooks? But it didn't happen. And then my class 10th results came. And in class 10th, those times, the results were given in the newspaper. You know, they had a press, and so people used to get it from there. And so my dad was really eager because some amount of hope building to sabka hi ho gaya tha ghar mein. And when the results came, he just called up and said, oh yeah, she's done well, she got 82%. And I was like, really? 82%? And to the point that I decided that if I don't get into the merit list, please don't judge me for this. I thought I am going to go and commit suicide. So what I did was I climbed up onto my building terrace. And by that time, my father called back again and said, अब तो मुझे result ही नहीं दिख रहा है. पहले तो 82% था, now I just can't find the result. And that's when you realize it. If you're a merit lister, your result is not given in the press, it's sent to school. So I was the first merit lister for a convent school. I stood 13th in the merit list. And I realized that time that if you get some bad news, just wait for some time. You don't know, it may just convert to good. So that was my first learning lesson as a school child. So that is my inspiration. They just joked that it was student of the decade because it was the first merit list. And my second inspiration after my parents was this board. I used to walk to school every day. And while I was walking to school, there was this board over there which said Dr. Rekha Sheth. I used to watch it every day. And I used to feel, what would it be like to be Dr. Falguni Shah? And what would it be like to have a board like that? I used to literally, it was from first to class 10th. And then it happened what I wanted to. So once school was over, getting into medical school was not really a big challenge. And then I would not talk about medical college much because it is a difficult profession. We don't really want to harp on it. Those times were tough. They were really tough. But you get through your MBBS and then you get into your post-graduation. My second time when I felt that I've got a bad news is when, in those days, based on your third MBBS exams, we used to get a post-graduation. So as per that, I always wanted to be a gynecologist. But when those results came, I was not getting into gynecology, and guess what? I was getting dermatology. I was like, no way, who becomes a skin specialist? What's there in skin? It's just an organ. I don't want to do a real thing. I want to see blood. I want to, help people have babies. I want that happiness. And I have a very, very close friend of mine who's in the room today, last there, Dr. Shailesh Pandey. We've studied together. And he came up to me and said, look, I don't see you as a gynecologist. I think you're a better dermatologist. And I took the leap of faith because he said so. And one thing that my father had always told me is, try trusting people. Most people are good. It is only when you are bad that someone turns bad to you. So I trusted, I took the leap of faith, and I got into dermatology, and so life continued. The curriculum of dermatology went ahead, and when I was finishing it, as usual, I had done very good in my exams. And then came the time when there was an external viva. And what happens in viva is we have external examiners who come to bajao you. So what they do is someone comes from another college to your college, and they see to it that you don't top that list. So I had an external examiner from JJ, and he came, and they had already decided probably back then that we are going to bajao the student. And of course, that's where a little bit of, what can I say, if you are a little better dressed as a girl, you are targeted. Because our medical colleges are such where you're supposed to look a certain way, you're supposed to have oil in your hair, and you're supposed to wear glasses. And if you don't do that, maybe you're not such a good student. So we were also fighting prejudices. Of course, a lot has changed now, and I think it's very, very different now. Those times, we were fighting those prejudices. So when my viva got over, I was not even sure I would pass, forget top, because, yeah, shit happened. And then when I got out of my viva door, what happened is, you remember that board I had seen over here in school? Yes. Dr. Rekha Sheth herself was there with the JJ examiner, and they were sitting. And then when I finished my viva, when I came out, she came and said, would you like to join me? I thought it was unreal, that means maybe I had not done so bad. And he says, don't worry, you're going to pass. but would you like to join me? And so the next day, I went to her clinic, which was in Cherney Road, and I joined her. And guessed what she did? She asked me to go and sit in this clinic, which was in Parlour. And life came a full circle. So what happened is, I went and joined her, and I took care of her Parlour clinic. And I couldn't believe it. This was the building which I used to see every single day when I used to go to school. So again, that part of bad also became good. And then it progressed, and I have a picture with her, my mentor. I think she taught me everything I knew that was to be taught in school and in dermatology, and I had to have a picture here. She passed away in 2019, unfortunately. However, so I joined her, and then she also had I think those days knowledge was not so easily available. It was not a Google and internet thing where you press a finger and things are there. It was where you had to read from textbooks and reference books. And she had a lovely library and reference books were very, very expensive. And remember, I came from a very middle class background. So those books were not really available to us. And in her library, I could sit and read. And also that was the time when we used to take our own biopsies and we used to read the slides. So that working under her opened a whole new aspect of skin where I was not just looking at skin as as somebody's skin and treating it, but I was also reading it under the microscope. And I realized that the skin bears the brunt of so many expectations of your body as an organ and expectations of the world at large with their eyes. So it's an external organ which has to function and also look good. Not like another organ like a heart or a lung which just has to function, and you don't really know what your lung looks like, but you definitely know what your skin looks like. And so I realized way then that maybe gynecology would have been great. You were going to watch people give birth to babies, but skin is going to give you dignity back. One scar less on the face did raise people's self-esteem. And I've seen multiple cases where looking better has made people even feel better. It's not just, and then beauty was not just skin deep anymore. But then when I continued working with Dr. Sheth, there came a time when we both literally fell in love with each other. It was like she loved me so much and I loved her back, and I thought this was my life. And sometime later, I think a year later, she asked me if I could get into partnership with her. Well, seemed like a good thing because there was a lot of money involved and everything. But when I went back home that day, I realized that something was not right. And that thing which was not right was I had started mirroring her prescriptions. I was writing down what she was writing down for her patients, and I was seeing patients from the way she was seeing. And I think that's not what I wanted, remember? I wanted my own name, and I wanted the own board. So that's when my journey started as a proprietor. I said, no more partnerships, it's time to quit. And when I quit, then I started my own practice in something which was called a polyclinic. I don't know if you all know what's a polyclinic, where there is a large place where there are multiple rooms, and you take one room and you just pay the rent. I had 0 cents of money, and I had no money. But then a polyclinic was something where you pay the rent at the end of the month. And I jumped in without really knowing that how am I going to get it? But it happened, and patients started coming. I started paying my rent. So no surprises there. Life went fine. Now, in this polyclinic, there were multiple other doctors who started with me. And for some reason, they did not do well. Rather, that place did not serve them well. But I was doing well. So gradually, people started leaving from that polyclinic. And this whole big place, I was there alone, and there was the owner, who was an uncle of 60 years of age, and a receptionist. I did not realize that the uncle was a pervert, and he would come into my room very often to just show me his skin. And that's when I realized that the place is not working for multiple reasons. And also, when everybody left, and when he realized that things are not happening the way he wanted, he came and one day told me, he gave me a month's notice and said, we're going to shut down this place. I had a patient bank of 500, which was really big for me at that time. And when you shut down the place, now what am I going to do? And guess what had happened? In that much time, I had bought a car with my savings. Any guesses which that car would be? I'm sure some people may just know. No? I'm a Shah Rukh Khan fan, guys. Come on. Yeah. So he was in the Santro ad, and when I had made some money, what I'd done was gone and bought a Santro car. And I got into that car and I said, let's do a recce of that place. And I started driving around that area. And just at Jew Warsaw Link Road, I saw a building which said to let. And I entered that building and there was a ground floor to let. And I said, is this place for rent? He said, yeah, but it's a residential property. Little did I know that you cannot start a clinic in a residential property. But I went ahead. The rent for that was 26,000 rupees. I did not know how to pay 26,000 rupees, but since I did not know that to set an aesthetic practice, you require location, ambience, funds, patience, and talent, all I had was talent. So I said, I didn't know this graph, right? Because that's the way it was. And I got that place, and things started going. Once I started my own practice, I also realized that it's not going to work unless and until I have some technology. And technology was something which would have aided my practice. And that's when I started investing into machines and got into this whole world of understanding that you don't need money of your own every time to succeed. You can approach a bank. Mr. Batra, are you listening? So you could approach a bank and take a loan and start paying your EMIs. And I did that. I mean, I started buying my machines and things started going ahead. The next thing which happened is I went really, really enthusiastic because things were doing well for me. In 2005, we had the Bombay floods. And what happened is that time I had bought my first very, very expensive machine. For me, it was really expensive, 36 lakh. And I got it a month later when I went back to my clinic, the machine was floating in water. And I had no clue that one needs to take insurances, one needs to do something about it, and I was paying EMIs. But I also knew that to pay an EMI that large, I need to buy another machine that expensive. So what I did was I went and got a similar laser in the next 1 month. So I was paying the EMIs for 2 lasers while using only one. But it paid off as well, and I realized that sometimes you need to take the bigger leap and you need to get over your fears and just move ahead. And so it happened that I started, my world of lasers opened up, and today I have around 14 lasers in my clinic, which could be the only clinic to have so many lasers under one roof. And all my lasers are also US FDA approved and patented technology, which makes a big difference when you're giving results to your patients. And then, as things went on, 2006, I got married. My dad had kept 3 check boxes for me before I get married. He had said, 1, you will have your post-graduation degree. 2, you will start your own practice and you will have your own clinic. And 3rd, you will be financially independent. So all these 3 boxes were ticked, and I thought, yes. And remember, I was watching Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge from 1995. This is something which I always want to tell you all. It was released in 1995. Those were my MBBS days. And every time I used to feel low and dejected, I would go and watch some part of that film. And the film ran its course, I think, just for me. Because every time I had an MD exam or every time I had any kind of exam to give, I would go and watch that movie for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And the movie played till I got over most of my stresses in life. And also by 2006 was the time when I had met my Raj stroke Rahul, and I got married. And like everything in life, I also delivered in the first year of my marriage. So when my daughter was supposed to be born in the month of January, so I had planned it that post her birth, I would take a break for 2 months. But she was born a month early, and all my appointments were booked for that month of December. So in spite of having a C-section, and remember I was paying EMIs without realizing how much I'm investing into. And she was born in the month of December 16th, and when she was she was 7 days old with just my C-section stitches out. I think date 10th it was. I used to carry her with me, go to my clinic and see patients. So the only break I had in my life till date were those 10 days. And I realized that being a mother was not going to stop me from being myself. And I think she has watched me. And one thing I want to tell all the women in this room, that I have seen it very closely, that your children don't listen to you, your children watch you. So when they watch you, they know what to do. So I hope that being a woman doesn't stop her from doing what she wants. Now, why I had kept that picture, I was discussing this with Vinita, that is it is it different for a woman and a man as an entrepreneur? Well, the journey is the same, the time taken is the same, but the path is a little bit more difficult. In this whole journey, when I was buying lasers, what used to happen is most of these laser people, they have deals, because those days we used to not have the company directly into our country. We would have their distributors. So the distributors had a different rate they wanted to give different people. So I had so many male colleagues would go out on a drink with these guys. And for a woman to say that, okay, come, Mr. Meswani, let's go for a drink, was you were judged even morally. So we had to I think I ended up paying at least 2-3 lakhs more per device, till I realized that there is a very, very simple way out of this. I said, oh, I have no money, I'm married a rich man, and all this money is my husband, so the dealings will be made by the husband. So now I'm at that stage where most of the people in my laser companies believe, उसने ना बड़े एक rich इंसान से शादी किया है, तो लेकिन वो funds वो allot करता है. So every time I decide on a technology, I decide the price in my mind, then I call Devesh and say, Devesh, this is the price. You please tell him this is all you can give me. And it works. So you have to have give your financial brain also to the male, as per the male community. So this is a struggle, but trust me, women, it's hardly anything for what you get in return, because that's the way it is. So that's been my journey, and it's been going on. And then when did I start my first product? 2016 was a very, very decisive year for me. For most of the country, yes, Kevin, it was demonetization and also GST. All came together, so small people and small businesses like us really, really, really suffered. Because what happened is they put dermatologists also under GST. And they had stopped the cash coming in, which was the luxury industry, and they used to pay us by that. So 2016 was a time where suddenly post-November 8th, we had 0 appointments on our register for the next 2 months, because big procedures stopped happening, but we were still continuing to pay our EMIs. And something really not so good happened during that phase. This is something which is an incident which actually has been the life-changing incident in my life. I had a politician, and by this time, by 2016, I was doing pretty well in my practice. I mean, the 2 things that happened, one is, yes, I think I was doing well, and second is the TV industry had opened up. So almost every TV actor, I will just give you their names in the sense they were not known as actors, they were known as Tulsi Bhabis and Parvati Bhabis. All of them were in your clinic, and it was a good time. But yeah, so clinic was doing pretty well, so I had invested in more lasers than what I needed. And this politician used to come to me. He was from Rajasthan. I will not give you his name. He had a younger woman whom he was keeping in Mumbai. She was 23 years of age. And he used to come with that woman to my clinic. And post-demonetization, again they came, and this girl, I will not call her woman, 23-year-old, had some acne on her face. Now, in this due time, before this thing happened, I used to make this lotion, which was called acne lotion. Now, acne lotion was something which is there in our textbooks, where you have resorcinol, you have sulfur, you have calamine, you have zinc oxide. You put it into a bottle, and you dispense it in plastic bottles. We used to give it in our pharmacy even when we were doing our post-graduation. My father, who was a medical representative, used to take me to Dawa Bazaar, which was in Princess Street, because he believed that I needed to see the world of drugs as well when I'm getting into medicine. So I used to go to Princess Street. We used to buy jerry cans of zinc oxide, sulfur, resorcinol. I had a small pharmacist in Dadar. He used to mix it for me, and we used to dispense it in bottles. And this was probably, I have my assistants in the room, and I think they know how important this acne lotion was, because people used to come and take bottles of that to put it on your face. So this politician who had come with his young girlfriend, we gave the acne lotion to him as well. And after demonetization, he came to my clinic and said, I want to pay you in only 1,000 rupee notes. And we said, I'm sorry, we have stopped accepting them. And he had started these things, because mine is an all-women organization. We have only women who work in my clinic. And he came and then started asking those funny questions that, अच्छा, आपने 1,000 रुपया consulting का लिया है, ये 1,000 रुपये में और क्या-क्या करोगे आप हमारे लिए? And that's when we realized that this is the bad guy. So we refused to get him into a clinic, and After some time, when he was harassing my receptionist too much, I came out, I took the acne lotion, I poured it in the basin for him, and I said, get out. We are not going to treat you henceforth, and we are not going to give you any refund. And that was that. I didn't know that I have hurt the sentiments of a male ego of a Rajasthani politician. I had no clue. I was hit by demonetization, and end of December, I had this FDA raid which happened in my clinic. And the FDA guys would come and sit in my clinic all day. They would come in the morning at 10 o'clock. They would sit there as if they own my clinic, these two burly, ugly-looking men, and they would ask for money. And what they would do means they would ask in different ways, ki, Doctor, aaj 10,000 ka chutta de do. Doctor, aaj 20,000 ka chutta de do. It went on, and it was pathetic. I used to go home, I used to break down. I didn't know what to do. And we used to go to these FDA offices, Devesh and me, and that's when I started realizing the way FDA runs. He was actually helping me for my long-term venture. I realized that there is a drug license. I realized that there is a cosmetic license. I realized how to get these licenses. I understood what to do to get you on the manufacturer's list. But while this was happening, we had to shed in a lot of money. Remember, we didn't have cash that time. It was demonetized, but the FDA guy wanted cash. So we were somehow arranging for it, giving. Somehow arranging for it, giving. And then finally, 7th February, they gave me a clean chit from FDA saying that, yes, we are sorry about this and whatever, because they had probably, they got the money that they wanted. But it didn't end there, because remember, I had not hurt somebody's pocket, I had hurt somebody's ego. So 5th of March, I get a big letter from MMC, the Maharashtra Medical Council, which said that we will debar your license unless and because we have realized that you're giving some spurious liquid in a plastic bottle. And then we showed the MMC the FDA letter that we have got a clearance from them, but that's when he realized that I need a lawyer. This is not my job anymore. And we met a lawyer. And then the lawyer told me that, Doctor, you are so funny. Sometimes nothing wins like truth does. So write back to the MMC and tell them exactly what happened. And that's when I wrote to the MMC that we have this politician who came with his keep of 23 years of age, and this is what he did. And believe me, that was the last day the MMC or the FDA spoke to me. They did not connect with me after that. So my lesson was, stick to the truth and you will win. And you will always win. And that's when I decided, I knew it, that nothing works like honesty does. You may want to be dishonest for some time, but that is just a small-term arrangement in your life. So follow the path of honesty. And also, the good which came out of it was, I got a clear idea of now what to do with the FDA. Though that time, the products was not in my mind, because whatever. And I think I started realizing that I want to start my products only because I started missing the acne lotion and what patients were asking for. Things started going, and then 2020 happened and the pandemic hit. Just before the pandemic, I had spoken to a very dear friend of mine from the club, Kevin, I don't know if you remember, that I wanted to buy 2 very big laser machines, which were again, by that time I had gone technology crazy. I just wanted more systems into my clinic. So I wanted to buy 2 more machines. And that time Kevin had told me, probably you just buy one and wait for the other one. But I didn't listen to him, I bought both. And pandemic hit. So we had got 2 new lasers, and the pandemic was on, and we had to stop all work. And here there are 2 things. We are not only paying for the EMIs of the machines, we are paying for the clinic. We have a huge outgoing cost. And if you don't use these lasers, they stop. So whom are we going to use the lasers on? Because patients are not coming in. So we used to actually fire those shots in the air to just keep the lasers working. And that time I also realized while sitting in the clinic that my patients don't want just the lasers, they want some solutions. So I used to call up my pharmacist who was in Chennai, and we used to make small potions in a bottle, like a vitamin C or a salicylic acid, so for acne, for pigment, and we used to keep sending these bottles to our patients. And I started realizing that now what I need to do is just put a name on the bottle, because they were getting confused what we are sending. So I just put my name on it, put the name of the ingredient, and I started sending my patients. And that's when the whole idea of the product journey came into my mind. And I think 2021 is when we started making the products with a label, and we started still dispensing from the clinic. And it's been going on. Now we are in 2024. We have a product line of around 8 SKUs, and We have a patient bank of more than 1,200 people who have used our products, and we have a clinical evidence journey on the same. So I think we are ready to hit the market now, and we just started our Instagram sales last week. So before I get into the product thing, I want you all to see this one statistics that they say that 4 hours of a week a person spends on skincare. And it is not a joke. 4 hours every single week. That is around 20 minutes every single day. So it is something that we may want to look into. Also, the skincare product market growth has been phenomenal. If you see, the gray is the skincare that people use for the face, and the yellow is what they use as a sunscreen. So these are the only two product ranges which are growing, and that's where my product journey is about. We are into skincare for the face and sunscreens. And also the sales have been more only offline. So that black thing is the online. So the online journey is actually only beginning. When I was told that the D2C market is now crowded, but in reality, the D2C market is just growing. So these are my products. We have multiple SKUs. These are just 4, but we have 7. So I am actually just on the brink of an entrepreneurial journey. Mera picture abhi baki hai. The doctor journey is on, but I've realized that I don't want this thing to end with me. I want it to go on. I've just thrown something into the universe. I'm just hoping that it comes true. And I am looking for love from all of you, which you all have given me abundantly. The club, its members, they've all been with me, and so has my family. So I would like to say that if I were to summarize my life, which it has been, I would say that my work and myself is a tribute to my medical representative father. It's a tribute to all the obstacles in my life. The FDA raid, which could have destroyed me, the floods, which just destroyed my laser, but could have destroyed more. The powerful people who thought they could stop me. And moreover, I've realized that whenever there is a crisis, there is an adrenaline thing, an adrenaline jump in me. I skip a couple of beats, but I also realize that I'm alive. And my core is science. I've realized that science is the truth, and if I can combine the science with the entrepreneurial journey, maybe it is a winning combination. So science is what I'm going to stick to, and I think I will end this thing with with a share, which actually I read on Clubmates the other day. So sometimes it helps to go on Clubmates. And this share was by Faiz, and it says, it is something like this, that कुछ लोग तुम्हें समझाएंगे, कुछ लोग तुम्हें समझाएंगे, वो खौफ तुम्हें दिलवाएंगे, वो खौफ तुम्हें दिलवाएंगे कि जो है वो भी खो सकता है, जो है वो भी खो सकता है, इस राह में रेजिन है इतने, रेजिन means robbers, thieves, इस राह में रेजिन है इतने, कुछ और यहाँ हो सकता है, लेकिन कुछ और तो अक्सर होता है, इस लम्हे में जो तुम जिंदा हो, वो लम्हा तुमसे जिंदा है, ये वक्त नहीं फिर आएगा, तू कर गुजर अपनी करनी, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. Thank you.
A louder applause, please, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Falguni. There is no words that can top yours. All I can say is that honest storytelling is the best kind of speech, obviously. We are all spellbound by what we have heard. Our 4 speakers speak tonight. Thank you very much. It's late in the evening. It's a weekday. We must be hungry and also thirsty, maybe for a drink. So I will let you all go and have a little bit of a party, if we can still. But before we do,